that judges have, and I'm quoting, I brought this up yesterday, personal hidden agendas that influence how they decide cases. So what personal hidden agendas do you harbor, or do you think other judges harbor?
Thank you, Senator. That line, to the extent it appears in my thesis, was written by someone who had not gone to law school and was senior in college, who had spent a summer at an internship working in making observations in the context of a criminal justice internship. It is not a view that I hold.
What led you to that belief?
I'm thinking back, it's been 30 years, but the summer before my senior year, I interned at a public defender's office in New York. And I was part of a team of, there was lawyers and interns on this team, and they were handling misdemeanor cases. And
So it was from an internship experience?
Yes, before I became a lawyer.
All right. Let's go to something else. Senator Cruz was discussing with you, and I think this is important. It's something that parents all across the country are worried about, and that is the progressive indoctrination of their children and the pushing of critical race theory in the schools. And you told Senator Cruz that as a board member of the Georgetown Day School, you didn't have any control over what was taught at the school, no control over curriculum, and you weren't aware that the school was pushing CRT. But I would think that there would have been parents that came to you and said, have you seen these books? Are you aware that this is being taught, being on that school board?
No, Senator.
No one ever mentioned it.
Georgetown Day School is a private school. It's not. It's not a public school.
I'm fully aware. And you mentioned that you said that you meant you thought he meant that critical race theory isn't being taught in public schools, correct?
Yes.
Okay. But we know that's not the case. We know that CRT is being pushed in our K through 12 schools. And I've got a letter here, Mr. Chairman, that Senator Tuberville and I wrote last year to the National Education Association on this issue. I'd like to submit that to the record because it's relevant to our discussion.
Without objection.
And we had admonished the NEA for adopting pro-CRT materials during their annual organizing meeting and proposing to spend $127,000 in teachers' dues to combat opponents of CRT. And there are countless reports of CRT being pushed in the public school system. And a lot of parents that I work with every day, every week, don't have the funds to send their child to a private school. They're relying on the school systems, the public school systems, and it is important to them to have a Supreme Court that is going to protect parental rights to teach these children as parents see fit to have their children taught. And I will tell you too, with Georgetown Day School, I found it astounding that it teaches kindergartners, 5-year-old children, and I've got grandchildren, and they teach them that they can choose their gender. So is this what you were praising when you applauded the, and I'm quoting you, transformative power of Georgetown Day School's progressive education? Do you agree that our schools should teach children that they can choose their gender?
Senator, I'm not remembering exactly what quote you're referencing, but Georgetown Day School is
It was in a book,
in a
and you gave the quote.
Georgetown Day School is a private school.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm asking, do you agree that schools should teach children that they can choose their gender?
Senator, I'm not making comments about
All right.
what schools can teach.
Let me ask you this then. United States versus Virginia, the Supreme Court struck down VMI's male-only admission policy. Writing for the majority, Justice Ginsburg stated, "Supposed inherent differences are no longer accepted as a ground for race or national origin classifications. Physical differences between men and women, however, are enduring. The two sexes are not fungible. A community made up exclusively of one sex is different from a community composed of both." Do you agree with Justice Ginsburg that there are physical differences between men and women that are enduring?
Senator, respectfully, I am not familiar with that particular quote or case,
Okay.
so it's hard for me to comment as to whether
all
or
right.
not.
I'd love to get your opinion on that, and you can submit that. Do you interpret Justice Ginsburg's meaning of men and women as male and female?
Again, because I don't know the case, I don't know how I interpret it. I need to read the whole
Okay.
thing.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Not in
Okay.
this context.
So you
I'm not a
believe
biologist.
the meaning of the word woman is so unclear and controversial that you can't give me a definition?
Senator, in my work as a judge, what I do is I address disputes. If there's a dispute about a definition, people make arguments, and I look at the
All right.
law and I decide. So I'm not.
The fact that you can't give me a straight answer about something as fundamental as what a woman is underscores the dangers of the kind of progressive education that we are hearing about. Just last week, an entire generation of young girls watched as our taxpayer-funded institutions permitted a biological man to compete and beat a biological woman in the NCAA swimming championships. What message do you think this sends to girls who aspire to compete and win in sports at the highest levels?
Senator, I'm not sure what message that sends. If you're asking me about the legal issues related to it, those are topics that are being hotly discussed, as you say.